Hello, in this video I am going to show you how to write the equation of a parabola in standard form, and then we're going to identify the vertex, focus, axis of symmetry, and directrix to then graph it. So we're going to do number 16 right here. Y squared plus 33 is equal to negative 8x minus 23. So first thing I notice, y is being squared. So that is telling me that we are going to have a horizontal parabola. Okay, once I know it's a horizontal parabola, I know what its equation is supposed to look like, or its standard form. It's going to be y minus k squared is equal to 4p times x minus h. So that's what we're going to try to get this to look like. Now, my y is being squared. I'm going to keep that together with any other y terms, which when I look at this, I don't see any y terms, which that's okay. We're going to move this 33 over to the other side though, because we still just want to isolate that y. So y squared will stay on its own. On this side we have negative 8x minus 23, which was already there, but now we're going to subtract 33. So when this simplifies, we get negative 8x minus 56. Now, on the left-hand side, we're pretty much already set. We don't need to complete the square because this is really just y minus 0 squared, since there's no other y term. On the right-hand side, the one thing we want to notice is that there's a coefficient in front of x, and see over here, there's no coefficient. We don't want a coefficient there. So what we're going to do is that coefficient of negative 8 is going to get factored out from both of these terms, leaving me with a positive x, and then negative 56 divided by negative 8 is a positive 7. So this is now in standard form. Y minus 0 squared is equal to negative 8 times x plus 7. I'm going to box that right here. And this standard form is now going to allow us to find what h, k, and p are. So my h always comes along with my x. We've got to think opposite. So h is negative 7. K goes along with the y, which is 0. And p comes from this coefficient here. Now if you look in the standard form, that's where we have 4 times p. So I'm going to set that equal to negative 8, and I get p is equal to negative 2. This p is telling us the distance from the vertex to the focus and to the directrix, but it's also telling us which direction our parabola is going to open towards. So since we know it's a horizontal parabola, and this is a negative 2, we know that this is going to open to the left side. So we can keep that in mind when we're graphing and checking our graph. So the next thing that we need to do is find the vertex, which is simply just hk, which is negative 7, 0. Then comes our focus. So to find the focus, our y value is going to stay the same, so this 0 stays the same, but the x-coordinate, we're going to add p to the x-coordinate. So if we already had negative 7, we're going to add negative 2, so that's the same thing as negative 7 minus 2, which is negative 9, comma 0. So there's our focus. Next comes the directrix. Our directrix is going to be x equals our h, which was negative 7, and this time we're going to subtract p. So for the focus, you always want to add p. Directrix, we're always subtracting p. And that's going to give us negative 7 plus 2, which is negative 5. So there's our directrix. And then lastly, our axis of symmetry. That is going to be y equal to our y-coordinate because it's going to go through the vertex and the focus, so y is equal to 0 because that's the k value that we have there. Alright, so we have all the parts. We get to now graph this, and let's go ahead and make our coordinate plane here. I'll start with the vertex. That's going to be at -7, 0, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 0 right there. Our focus is at -9, 0. Whoops, looks like I need to extend this a little here. Oops, let's make that, there we go. So that's -8, -9. There's our focus. I'm going to label this vertex and focus. Our directrix is at x equal to -5. That is right here. So I'm going to draw that directrix. So notice this, before I go ahead and draw the parabola, we have the vertex right here in the center, and we have a distance from the vertex to the directrix. That distance is the distance of 2, which makes sense because our p is -2, and the absolute value of that is 2, which represents this distance here. And then look here, from the focus to the vertex, that is also a distance of 2. So always keep in mind that the distance from the vertex to the focus and from the vertex to the directrix is always going to be p. That's always the distance there. The negative sign is just telling us which direction the parabola is going to open towards. And since it's negative, we know it's going to open in that direction. So I'm going to go ahead and do that rough sketch of the parabola. And remember, the focus is always going to be inside the parabola, so it makes sense that it's right where it is. And lastly, I'm going to graph my axis of symmetry at y equal to 0. So we're just going to do this line straight through the vertex and the focus. And that is our graph of the parabola together with finding the standard form.